Hare Krishna. Starting a little late. Starting with bhajans. Right now we have Pushpadanta Prabhu singing Samsara Dava. And the devotees are going to be singing with him. And after that I will be giving a talk about Srila Gadadhara Pandit's disappearance and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura's disappearance. So please listen to the bhajans. Chant along with us. Hare Krishna. Dayam Stubham Stasyaya Sastri Sandhya Dayam Stubham Stasyaya Sastri Sandhya De Guru Sri Charanara Vindam Sri Charanara Vindam Murastakamithanuche Murte Prakati Prayatna Nastena Vrindavana Nata Saksha Vrindavana Nata Saksha. Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Bhaktivinoda Swami Prabhupada. Jagannath, could I have a pillow, please?
Glad to do it.
Thank you. Bhakti Siddhanta Prabhupada. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. Parampara Guru Parampara. I left my phone in the bedroom. Can you get it for me, please? Parampara.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita
Did I leave it in the bathroom? Yeah.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda. Prabhu Nityananda Advaita Gadadhara Sivasari Gaur. I remember that for
Shri Krishna
Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda
Shri Advaita
Sivasari Gaur Bhaktivinoda.
Shri Krishna Chaitanya
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Hari.
Rama Hari Jai Krishna Hari.
Rama Hari Jaya Krishna Hari.
Pandit Krishna Nanda Kumara.
Pandit Krishna Nanda Kumara.
Pandit Krishna Nanda Kumara.
Nanda Kumara Mohana Rupa. Nanda Kumara Mohana Rupa.
Jaya Deva Hare. Jaya Jaya
Deva Hari.
Jaya Jaya Deva Hare.
Jaya Jaya Deva Hari. Jai. Pushpananta Prabhu ki jai. Thank you. Such beautiful kirtan. You could do more if you like. Do I want to do one? Yeah, I could do one. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Jai Radhe, Jai Sri Radhe. Jaya Sachidananda Bhaktivinoda, Sachidananda Bhaktivinoda. Jaya Gora Gadadhara, Gora Gadadhara, Gora Gadadhara, Gora Gadadhara. Nitya Gora Haribo, 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 Haribo. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva, Jaya Guru Deva. Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Radhe, Jaya Sri Radhe. Jai Jai Sri Radhe. Jai Sri Radhe. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Gadadhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Gadadhari.
Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Gadadhari.
Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Gadadhari.
Jasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Balaba Giri Bharadhari Jaya Gopi Jana Balaba Giri Bharadhari Jai Jasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jai Jasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jaya Jasoda Nandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari ki jai.
Jai Radha Madhava Jai Kunja Bihari.
Yeah, I don't do that. So that song was written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And today is the disappearance day of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And Srila Gurudev used to say that he was a manifestation of Gadadhara Pandit.
Oh, wow, Gadadhara.
Yes. And today is the disappearance day of Gadadhara Pandit as well. So he disappeared on the same day. So, very interesting connection between...
And this is a lunar calendar, so it was actually good.
Yeah. Very interesting connection between Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Sri Gadadhar Pandit ki jai.
His deities were Gaur Gadadhara.
Huh?
Bhaktivinoda's deities were Gaur Gadadhara.
Yes, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's deities are Gaur Gadadhar. He worshipped Gaur Gadadhar. I've been there in Godrumadweep at his Bhajan Kutir.
Every year.
And he's the deities, and when you come to the front of the altar and you look directly, you see it's his samadhi. You see the deity of Thakur Bhaktivinoda. And then when you go to the side, there's another darshan view, and you look, and on the side of the wall there's Sri Gaur Gadadhar deities, is the deities that he worshipped. So both those deities are there in the Sancta Sanctorium of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Samadhi. He said that he wanted Gaur Gadadhar to dance on his head. So, today we'll talk about Thakur Bhaktivinoda.
I thought we
I don't need one. Can everybody hear me?
I can hear you easily.
And the ancient devotees.
Krishna Premavati is saying that the sound is low. You have a microphone that
Yes.
can make it louder?
I'm having to set it up.
So you record through the book?
It records through the computer. But evidently, according to one of the listeners, it's not very loud. Maybe. So now I will turn it down. Someone is suggesting that everyone should turn up the sound on their computers, but I'm assuming that you've already done that. So now we will get a microphone. Hare Krishna.
Getting there.
Hare Krishna.
And the ancient devotees won't be able to hear too.
Hare Krishna. Does that make it any louder? Can you hear more? Can you hear better now that I'm speaking over the loudspeaker? Oh, there we go. That's really loud.
Too loud.
Everybody should be able to hear me now.
Lord Vermont speaking.
Lord Brahma. Okay. To become Lord Brahma, you have to do 100 births of perfect execution of Varnashram Dharma. That's not happening anytime soon, that's for sure.
Lord Vermont just gets into trouble anyways.
What's on maximum, Krishna Premavati? My speaker or your headphones? So is everyone hearing now on Facebook? Can you hear well enough now? Okay, you hear nicely, Ramananda. Very good. Om Jnana Timirandasya Gananjana Salakaya Chaksu and Militanyena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Sri Chaitanya Manubhistam Stavitanyena Bhutale Swayam Rupam Kadamaya Dadanti Swapadante Kam. First of all, I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my Shiksha and Diksha Guru, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Asatara Sata Sri Srimad, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Then I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my Shiksha and Sannyas Guru, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad, Asatara Sata Sri Srimad, Srila Bhaktivedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of my Shiksha Gurus, Nitya Lila Pravishta Om Vishnupad Asatara Sata Sri Srimad, Srila Gaur Govinda Goswami Maharaj, and Srila Bhakti Vigyan Bharti Goswami Maharaj. I offer my humble obeisances unto the lotus feet of the Sri Rupanuga Guru Varga, Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshav Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Dev Goswami Maharaj, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakura Prabhupada, and Srila Gaur Kishore Das Babaji and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So, also, I offer my obeisances at the feet of all the Vaishnavas and Vaishnavis who are present here today in Eugene, Oregon, at the house of Jagannath Prabhu, where we have the gorgeous deities. What are the name of the deities?
It's a pastime, everybody has their own name.
Siddhanti Marsh said they were
Radharaman Bihari. Radharaman Bihari. Beautiful deities. Okay. We'll try and take a peek at them later on. So Radharaman Bihari and the assembled Vaishnavas here. We have an illustrious cast of Srila Prabhupada disciples here and some Srila Gurudev disciples here and one of my disciples here, and so very nice. So, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was born way back in 1833, I think it was, if I recall correctly. And Srila Thakur Bhaktivinoda was born in Bengal. He lived a very simple life. He writes in his biography how when he was 9 years old, they arranged a marriage for him with an 8-year-old girl. But the girl stayed at home in her parents' house, and he stayed at home in his house. And they used to play together. And then when she became a little older, she started cooking for him. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur said she used to cook and bring me things that she was cooking. And then she started making me clothing. So like that, they developed a relationship. And then when he was about 17, 18 years old, around that time, she was 16, 17 years old, then the natural onset of puberty came. And they fell in love and began to have children. I think she gave him 2 children before she died. And then he married Srimati Bhagavati Devi, who was the one who eventually gave birth to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Thakur Prabhupada. So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur was from a young age very much involved in getting a good education. He went to good schools, he went to college, he got all this good education. And he loved to write. From a young age he was writing. And then at a later date, he was appointed the magistrate of Jagannath Puri. And this was a very important position in those days. After the governor of the state, the magistrates were considered the most important people politically and administratively in the state. And he had 2 jobs. His job was not only to be magistrate and to adjudicate the different court cases that were held in the Puri High Court, but he was also responsible for the administration of the Jagannath Temple. And the Jagannath Temple was feeding thousands of people every day. So his typical daily routine was to go early in the morning to the court, and he would hear all the court cases by noon. Then he would go home and have some lunch, and then in the afternoon he would go to the Jagannath Temple to supervise the preparing of the prasadam for Lord Jagannath. Lord Jagannath eats 54 offerings a day. And how they cook on the stove is amazing. They have a big circular stove, and on the they have a half a dozen of these large pots like this, way big pots. And they all touch each other, okay? In the center. There's a big hole in the center of the stove where the fire is, and those clay pots touch each other. And then balanced on top of those pots is smaller clay pots. And then balanced on top of those pots is smaller clay pots. And then balanced on the very top is little clay pots, just little ones like this. And they cook. And nobody knows how it works. It's a complete mystery. One very wealthy man in India one time tried to imitate the kitchen, and he couldn't do it. He had all these stoves and pots and this and that, but he couldn't prepare the food the same way. It's some mystic potency of Lord Jagannath, the way it goes on. And so there's so many things that have to be gotten. Firewood, and the pots, and the varieties of vegetables and grains that are required for cooking for thousands and thousands of people on a daily basis to distribute Lord Jagannath's Mahaprasad. So it's a very large endeavor, and Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was managing it all by himself. One time there was a district magistrate who would come to all the different districts and see how the local magistrates were doing. And he arrived in the afternoon at the courthouse and it was closed. So he inquired, "Why is the courthouse closed?" He said, "Oh, it's closed for the day. Every afternoon it's closed." He said, "Well, aren't the cases being heard?" He said, "Oh, yes. Every morning all the cases are heard before the noon." He said, "But are people satisfied?" "Oh, everyone is very satisfied with Bhaktivinoda Thakur's judgments. No one disputes his judgments. They're very pleased with how he adjudicates all the cases." And so the district magistrate was amazed that he was getting the entire day's caseload finished by 1 o'clock in the afternoon. And then he went over to the Jagannath Puri temple and saw that he was managing everything over there in the afternoon, very ably and very responsibly. So this was his afternoon, and then he would go home in the evening and do some puja and have some dinner, take bath, do puja, have dinner. Then he would rest for 3 or 4 hours, and then he would get up and he would write books and songs. And during this period, he wrote over 100 books and songs that were amazing songs. And like this, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur was the ideal householder. Now, you can imagine this workload that he has, right? All day long, how he's working. And he's also the father of 13 children, which is beyond capacity, can imagine, beyond imagination, if we have 1 or 2 children today, it's a lot of work. He had 13 children. And Srila Prabhupada, I read a story today. One of my godbrothers asked Srila Prabhupada that he said, "You told me that I should be an ideal householder like Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So should I also have 13 children?" And Prabhupada laughed. He said, "To have 1 or 2 is enough in this age of Kali." So, he had my godbrother, Hare Krishna, thank you for coming. Hare Krishna.
It's a new Indian family moved to Eugene from Bay Area.
Oh, welcome, welcome. Please sit down. So, yes, feel comfortable to sit on the couch. It's quite all right. Is your daughter okay? She needs anything?
She's looking for a friend.
A friend. Oh, unfortunately, there's no young children friends here. Sorry. So, we're talking about, today is the disappearance day of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who was a great acharya in our line, and we're talking about his life. So Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote many important books, and he also made many important statements in his, gave many important instructions, okay, which I want to read to you a few of his quotes. Bhaktivinoda Thakur gives a number of quotes. One of them is a quote that was written in the Sri Krishna Samhita. The Sri Krishna Samhita, which he did a commentary on. In that book, he describes how each one of the demoniac personalities that attacked Krishna in Vrindavan represent a different quality of negativity in Vaishnavism and how to overcome that. So, he's talking here about the obstacle of sectarianism. The 11th obstacle of Vaishnavas is sectarianism, which takes the shape of the forest fire. So the forest fire demon is responsible for sectarianism. Due to sectarianism, a person cannot accept anyone outside their own group as a Vaishnava. And as a result, they face many obstacles in finding a guru and associating with devotees. Therefore, extinguishing the forest fire is most important. So then, he gives some more. This is from Gadadhara, chapter 11. Sectarianism is a great mistake. We consider that it is essential to arouse love towards Bhagavan, God, by any means possible. The door leading to gradual elevation is firmly shut if people on any level of worship are ridiculed or condemned. Those who fall under the spell of dogmatism and thereby become sectarian lack the qualities of generosity and munificence. That is why they ridicule and condemn others who do not worship in the same way as they do. This is a great mistake on their part. Gadadhara, chapter 11. And another quote from chapter 11, page 175. It depends on which edition of Gadadhara you have. Those who become sectarian by obstinately locking themselves into dogmatic cults are soon diverted from lofty idealism, munificence, and liberality. They deride and rail at anyone who does not follow their particular methodology and religious practice. This is a serious aberration on their part. Sectarianism is a natural byproduct of the absolute truth. When acharyas first ascertain and instruct the truth, it is not polluted with sectarianism. But the rules and regulations received through the disciplic succession regarding the goal and method of achieving it are changed in due course of time according to the mentality and locale of the people. A rule that is followed by one society is not necessarily accepted by another society. That is why one community is different from another community. As a community gradually develops more respect, as a community gradually develops more respect for its own standards, it develops hatred towards other communities and considers their standards inferior. These sectarian symptoms are seen in all countries since time immemorial. This is prominent amongst neophytes and found to some extent amongst the Madhyam Adhikaris. Amongst Uttam Adhikaris, however, there is no trace of sectarianism. This comes as an excerpt from the introduction to the Sri Krishna Samhita by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Then in Sajjana Toshani, he talks about the unification of the Vaishnavas through Harinam. Very soon the unparalleled path of Harinam Sankirtan will be propagated all over the world. Already, we are seeing the symptoms, hearing the first strains of the Sankirtan movement in the West, with the Salvation Army marching band, who sing the names of God while playing cymbals and drums. So here we see Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur's very magnanimous view. He's looking at the Salvation Army in America singing hymns about Jesus Christ and playing cymbals and drums, and he's considering that the early strains of Mahaprabhu's Harinam Sankirtan movement in the West. This is a munificent vision, okay? Audarya, munificent vision. So a person who has this kind of vision, he's able to spread the mission of Mahaprabhu all over the world. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur had this vision, and our Srila Prabhupada had this vision. And our Srila Gurudev had this vision. They had this beautiful vision. Srila Sridhar Maharaj, they all had this same vision of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's, of being all-embracing, all-encompassing in their distribution of the transcendental knowledge of Krishna consciousness and their acceptance of Krishna consciousness in even the minutest fraction in other religious organizations and sects. The Dharma, huh? Yes.
Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he wrote that when one travels around and sees other people from different parts of the world worshiping the Lord, a Vaishnava thinks, let me see how they're worshiping my Lord.
Yeah.
In what way they're doing it.
Yes.
In that way, everyone is.
Yes. Pushpadanta Prabhu is talking about one quote of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur where he says that when he traveled to different places, he would see different people worshiping God, his Lord, in different ways. And he would take time out to recognize that and to see how they were worshiping and what they were doing to worship God, how they were worshiping God, embracing the individuality of that and the uniqueness of their practice of their process of Krishna consciousness in their own way. Now, in Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's Life and Precepts, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says in the introduction, the Dharma preached by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is universal and not exclusive. The principle of Kirtan as the future church of the world invites all classes of men without distinction of caste or clan to the highest cultivation of the spirit. This church, it appears, will spread worldwide and replace all sectarian churches which exclude outsiders from the precincts of the mosque, church, or temple. So here he's talking about the church of Kirtan, and we see how Kirtan is becoming a dominant force all over the world in the younger generations of devotees and people in general, people who follow yoga, meditation, etc., are all embracing Kirtan as a process. And this is, he calls this the universal church of Kirtan. Lord Chaitanya did not invent himself to liberate only a few men of India. Rather, his main objective was to emancipate all living entities of all countries throughout the entire universe and preach the eternal religion. Lord Chaitanya says in Chaitanya Bhagavat, in every town, country, and village my name will be sung. There is no doubt that this unquestionable order will come to pass. Oh, for that day when the fortunate English, French, Russian, German, and American people will take up banners, mridungas, and kartals and raise kirtan through the streets and towns. When will that day come? Oh, for the day when the fair-skinned men from the air side will raise up the chanting of Jai Sachinandan Ki Jai, and join with the Bengali devotees. When will that day be? On such a day, they will say, oh, our dear brothers, we have taken shelter of the ocean of Lord Chaitanya's love. Kindly embrace us. That day will witness the holy transcendental ecstasy of Vaishnava Dharma to be the only Dharma, and all sects and religions will flow like rivers into the ocean of Vaishnava Dharma. Thank you. Oh, when will that day come? When Vaishnava Dharma becomes the primary Dharma of the world. In another place, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur repeats the same prediction a little differently. Oh, when will that day come when pure and transcendental Vaishnava Prema will be the only religion of all souls, and all tiny sectarian religions will meet in the unlimited and universal religion of Vaishnavism as rivers merge into the great ocean. Oh, when will that day come? This is from Sajjana Toshini, 1885. Now, again in Sajjana Toshini, he makes a very important point. Gradually, when the offensive portions of the established religions are destroyed, there will be no more differences in the bhajan performed by the various sampradayas, nor any quarrel between them. Then as brothers, the people of all varnas, castes, and countries will spontaneously chant the holy names of the Supreme Lord together. At that time, no one will hate anyone or consider others dog eaters, nor will anyone be overwhelmed by the pride of high birth. The living entities will not forget the principle of natural brotherhood. So we see how Thakur Bhaktivinoda had this vision of a universal spiritual religion based on Kirtan and Vaishnavism, and how he saw it as a universal brotherhood of love based on Vaishnava Prema. Now, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur once wrote a prediction about Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And he published it in an article called Thakur Bhaktivinoda, and it explains the Bhaktivinoda's prophecies on universal spiritual unity. Thakur Bhaktivinoda has predicted the consummation of religious unity of the world by the appearance of the only universal church which bears the eternal designation of the Brahma Sampradaya. So notice how he is attributing it to the Brahma Sampradaya. He's not calling it Gaudiya Mat. He's not calling it Gaudiya Sampradaya. He's not bringing it down to any colloquial designation, but the most universal designation possible, the Brahma Sampradaya, because Brahma is the first living being. And he is the first one to give this knowledge to Narada, who gives it to Vyasa, who gives it to Madhva. He's the first living being. He's the first personality. And so therefore, he's talking about the universal church, the only universal church, which bears the eternal designation. It's eternal because the Lord Brahma is the first living being who has received the transcendental knowledge from the eternal Supreme Personality of Godhead, Krishna. And he hands that knowledge down in the Sampradaya. Lord Brahma has given mankind, Bhaktivinoda Thakur has given mankind the blessed assurance that all theistic churches will shortly merge in the one eternal spiritual community by the grace of the Supreme Lord, Sri Krishna Chaitanya. The spiritual community is not circumscribed by the conditions of time and space, race and nationality. Mankind had been looking forward to this far-off divine event through the long ages. Thakur Bhaktivinoda has made the conception available in its practicable spiritual form to the open-minded empiricist who is prepared to undergo the process of enlightenment. The keystone of the arch has been laid, which will afford the needed shelter to all awakened animation under its ample encircling arms. Those who would thoughtlessly allow their hollow pride of race, pseudo-knowledge, or pseudo-virtue to stand in the way of this long-hoped-for consummation would have to thank only themselves for not being incorporated in the spiritual society of all pure souls.
So eloquent.
Huh?
So eloquent.
Yeah. Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So these are some of the great statements of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur concerning unity, universal religious brotherhood. This was his aim, this was his objective, and Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur took that mission and started to spread it. He once said, Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada once said in Navadvip, the last Navadvip Parikram, he said that Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has requested me to spread the mission of Mahaprabhu to the Western world. And my saintly mother, Bhagavati Devi, on her deathbed, requested me that I should preach the mission of Mahaprabhu in the Western world. And because of their requests, I have spent the lifeblood of the Gaudiya Mat in the form of this money to send preachers to the West to preach the mission of Mahaprabhu. He said, but until now, they have not been successful. So this was after both Ban Maharaj and Bhakti Goswami Maharaj went to the West to preach in England and Germany. So, after he speaks these words, he looks away from the sannyasis and brahmacharis in the front over to the side. And there he makes eye contact with our Srila Prabhupada by an eyewitness account. And after looking intently at Srila Prabhupada for some time, he turns back to the front and he said, "Today I have a prediction to make. Whosoever shall go next to the West to preach the mission of Mahaprabhu, no matter how long it may take him to go, when he returns to India, he will bring with him the whole world." So this is what Srila Prabhupada, our Srila Prabhupada, Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, accomplished by the prediction of Srila Saraswati Thakur. So all these desires of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have been fulfilled gradually, first by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, then Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, and then by our own Srila Prabhupada, and then reinforced by Srila Sridhar Maharaj and Srila Gurudev in their preaching mission. So we have been very fortunate to live through this historic period in the history of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's mission. A mission which was inaugurated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and promulgated in the Western world through the preaching of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, who sent the first book to McGill University in Canada at the request of the transcendentalists of Boston, Ralph Waldo Emerson and Henry David Thoreau. They had requested to get more information about Krishna in the English language, and so he had written 108 Sanskrit verses about Lord Chaitanya, but in the introduction to the book was written in English. It's the Life and Precepts of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and it gives an overall history of the life and precepts of Mahaprabhu in preaching the mission of the Sankirtan movement in the West, in the world. So this is Thakur Bhaktivinoda. Now, let's talk about Sri Gadadhara Pandit. So Sri Gadadhara Pandit is part of the Panchatattva. There is Mahaprabhu, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he's in the mood, although he's Krishna, he's in the mood of Radharani. Krishna Varnam Tvisha Krishnam Sangopangastra Parshadam Sankirtana Prayer Yajanti Hi Sumedasha. That in this Kali Yuga, Krishna will appear, Krishna Varnam Twish Akrishna, in an Akrishna, a not Krishna form, not Krishna color. Krishna will appear not as in that color, blackish color. It'll appear Akrishna, whitish color, golden color. Sangopangastra Parshadam, with all of his associates and weapons and energies and powers. Sankirtana Prayer, he will bring the Sankirtan Yajna to the world. Golokera Premadana Harinama Sankirtana, directly from the spiritual world. He's bringing the Sankirtan movement. And, is everything all right over there?
Yes.
Okay.
It was okay.
Okay. And Yajanti hi sumedasha. Those who have sumedasha, good intelligence. Su means good, medasha means intelligence, good intelligence. Then they will worship the Supreme Personality of Godhead in Kali Yuga in this form, as Lord Chaitanya. So then, Lord Chaitanya's immediate expansion, Lord Balaram appears as Lord Nityananda. And Lord Nityananda is very important because it's through Lord Nityananda that we get bhakti. He's the Akhanda Guru Tattva. He's the source. And then the next manifestation of Purusha is Mahavishnu, Sadashiv. Mahavishnu means Advaita Acharya. So this is all the Purusha manifestations. And then there's Prakriti. Prakriti is Gadadhara, who's Radharani, but is emptied out her nature and personality into Krishna in Mahaprabhu's form. And then there is Srivas Pandit, who is Nardamuni. So he's Jiva Tattva. She's Shakti Tattva and he's Jiva Tattva. So Gadadhara represents the Shakti Tattva of Srimati Radhika. And all of the different Shaktis, okay, that appear, all of the Gopis, all the Manjaris, all the Lakshmis, Rama Devi, the shadow of Rama Devi, Durga Devi, all the feminine Prakriti forms are manifestations and expansions of Srimati Radhika. And Gadadhar is Srimati Radhika. And we see that her mission, Gadadhar Pandit's mission, was always to nourish Mahaprabhu's mood of Radha Bhav. Srila Gurudev used to talk about how when Mahaprabhu would give dissertations at Srivas Angam, that Gadadhar would stand behind the Vyasasana. And when Mahaprabhu would quote some verses from the Bhagavad, then Gadadhar would recite the verse again in the proper mood, so that he understood what the mood was when she was saying these words that appeared in the Bhagavad from the recitation of Sri Sukadeva Goswami. And this is important. We have to understand. I was on a morning walk once with Srila Gurudev in the Bay Area. And he explained to us that by reading books and watching videos, we could obtain transcendental knowledge. He said, however, the moods of the inhabitants of Braj cannot be attained through reading a book or watching a video. It's not possible. He said, one must hear from an inhabitant of Braj. One must hear from the pure devotee. And hearing that transcendental sound vibration from the lips of the pure devotee will carry the moods of the inhabitants in Braj from his heart to your heart. And this is how you will receive them. So this, therefore, Gadadhar was making sure that Mahaprabhu, who is Krishna, trying to understand the mood of Radhika, could understand the moods by hearing the sound vibration and the mood of the verse from Radha directly in the form of Gadadhara Pandit. Also, in Jagannath Puri, he was speaking every morning at Toda Gopinath. Gadadhara Pandit was reciting Bhagavatam, and predominantly he spoke about Dhruv Leela and Prahlad Leela. But one time, Srila Gaur Govinda Maharaj was giving a lecture about a verse where it was talking about the father of Parshuram and how he became one of the Saptarishis, the 7 stars in the Big Dipper. And he lived there in one of those stars. So in his lecture he said, you think that this verse is about stars, but it's not about stars. He said, you should know for a fact that every verse of the Srimad Bhagavatam is about Madhurya Ras. Every verse is giving the mood of Madhurya Ras, but you have to see it. You have to understand it. And it can only be understood through the guidance of a sadguru or a pure sadhu. And then he explained how if the goal of your life is to see stars, then when the sun comes out, that ruins everything. He said, so the sun of knowledge rising up by all this knowledge, then the bhav or the mood of the twinkling of the stars is obfuscated. He said, in order to see the beauty of the stars, the sun of knowledge has to be set and it has to be darkened so that one can see the gorgeous beauty of the twinkling stars at night. He said, so in this way, the inner meaning of this verse is about the beauty of the stars of Madhurya Ras. So like this, we should understand that even though Gadadhara Pandit was speaking about Dhruv Leela and Prahlad Leela, he was actually communicating the moods of Madhurya Ras to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, which were later nourished when he was in Gambhira with Swarup Damodar and Roy Ramananda, Swarup Damodar being Lalita and Roy Ramananda being Vishaka. And so in this way, all of his transcendental moods were being nourished by the different gopis, by Radharani and the different gopis who were the servants of Srimati Radhika, so that he could understand the moods of Srimati Radhika and to relish the ecstasy that Srimati Radhika felt, understand the love that she had for him, and understand the special, unique sweetness that she alone could see in him. And so in this way, Gadadhara Pandit plays a very special and important role. And this is further reinforced by the pastime of when Mahaprabhu goes to Vrindavan. And Gadadhara Pandit is insisting on going to Vrindavan. He wants to go to Vrindavan with Mahaprabhu. And when he comes to the outer reaches of the Puri Dham territory at the river, the Mahanadi it's called, when he gets there, Mahaprabhu takes off in a boat across the river and he leaves Gadadhara Pandit behind and he faints. So Srila Gurudev gives us some insight into this when he writes his commentary on Radha Vinod Bihari Tatvastakam, Radha Chintani Vaishana Yasya Kanti Vilopita. But when he writes that commentary, he explains in the commentary how Krishna becomes golden color, meditating on Srimati Radhika under that Imli tree. And then, after he becomes golden color by meditating on her, her man is broken, and she comes and embraces him, and he increases his golden color even more. So then, it's explained by by Gurudev in the commentary that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, according to Gurudev, his primary reason for going to Vrindavan was to sit under the Imli tree. And when he sat under the tree, initially he turned black. But then after a while, as he absorbed the mood that he had when he was surrendering his consciousness to the unification with Srimati Radhika, his body became more and more golden, more and more golden, more and more golden. And so in this way, Srila Gurudev said that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to Vrindavan specifically to increase his Gaur Bhav, his Radhika Bhav, under that Imli tree. And so this is why he doesn't bring Gadadhar, because if Gadadhar comes and he's looking at Radha externally, then he cannot absorb Radha internally under the Imlitala tree. And so he doesn't allow Gadadhar Pandit to come with him to Vrindavan, primarily for this reason, to increase his Gaur Bhav there under the Imlitala tree, by going back to that rasa, that mood that he had when he was Krishna, and he completely absorbed himself in Srimati Radhika's Bhav. And so, therefore, Gadadhar Pandit plays a very crucial role in the relationship with Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in terms of nourishing his ability to achieve Radha Bhav. And Mahaprabhu wanted to make sure that Gadadhar Pandit was able to to worship him in his form of Gopinath. And so one day when they were sitting on the beach, he started making a circle in the sand, and as he made the circle in the sand and the sand became displaced, the crown of the head of Gopinath started to appear, and then gradually all the devotees came and they dug up Gopinath and took him out of the sand and installed him there at Tota. Tota means garden, Gopinath's garden. And so that deity was installed there, and Gadadhar Pandit worshipped that deity. And while he worshipped that deity, after Mahaprabhu left, he started to age very rapidly, and it was hard for him to reach Gopinath and put the garland. And so Gopinath sat down, and one day there was a pujari, when I was young, about not that young. When was I? I was with Gurudev. So I was in my 50s. I went there I used to go to that temple every day and worship. And the pujari was very, very nice to me. And I asked him one day to see the crack, and he showed it to me. He showed me the crack in Gopinath's knee. And he showed me how the legs were crisscrossed in a yoga position. And so I got to see that, and that's supposed to be the place where Mahaprabhu ultimately leaves this world. He enters into the crack in Gopinath's knee. And so Gadadhar Pandit plays a very important role in the Chaitanya Lila by nourishing Mahaprabhu's Gaur Bhav. All right, so these are some of the pastimes of Gadadhar and Thakura Bhaktivinoda that we have talked about today.
Right. So
Yeah.
how did Bhaktivinoda see his deities for Gadadhar? How did he see Gadadhar?
How did he what?
What was his vision of Gadadhar and its deity for Gadadhar deities?
No, he worshipped them as Radha Krishna.
That's right.
Yeah.
Madhav Maharaj just a few days ago confirmed that Jagannath Puri kitchen is largest in the world according to Guinness Record Book. That temple kitchen.
Yes.
And I thought, Maharaj, you said 54. I heard until now it was 56 preparations per day.
don't remember, maybe I missed it. It's either 54 or 56. I don't know.
So, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is called the seventh Goswami, and
Yes.
also what was the condition of Vaishnavism during his
Yes.
time?
Well, this is an important point. My godbrother Rasaraj is asking me to expound upon the condition of Vaishnavism when Bhaktivinoda Thakur started preaching in Bengal. And there was, after the disappearance of Mahaprabhu, there was a lot of false sampradayas that came up. And they're listed, there's 13 of them, Ols, Bols, Sols, Guranga Nagaris, Prakrita Sahajya, Saki Beki, like this, there's all these different groups. And all of them were preaching apasampradaya truths, things that were against the truths of the Vaishnava Sampradaya, the true practices of the Vaishnava Sampradaya. There were practices that were being performed by different gurus and so-called Vaishnavas that were just horrible, exploitive. There was a mixture of tantric, Shaivite Tantrism with Vaishnavism, which was more dominant in Bengal before the appearance of Mahaprabhu. And so Thakur Bhaktivinoda made it his mission to preach against these things and to establish the real Vaishnava Dharma. And so he went everywhere preaching about Mahaprabhu's actual teachings and based on Chaitanya Charitamrita and Chaitanya Bhagavat. And he wrote commentaries on both the books in order to make sure that people understood the proper meanings of the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And he prayed for a ray of Vishnu to come to continue his mission, and that was Srila Saraswati Thakur. And then Srila Prabhupada, who came to help him to preach the mission of Mahaprabhu in the West. And the other thing you said? Oh, yes. He's the seventh Goswami because the Goswamis were given the responsibility to write books, which he wrote, 100 books and so many songs and prayers, to find the holy places in Vrindavan. He found the holy place of Mahaprabhu's birthplace in Navadvip, and to promulgate the teachings of the Vaishnava Sampradaya and establish them firmly in society. So he did all the things that the six Goswamis did, and so he then received the title of the seventh Goswami. Yeah.
Can I make one comment about Krishna Samhita?
What about?
It was said that the material world is 1/4 of the Lord's creation.
Yes.
And at that time, some time ago, I was saying, well, if everything is unlimited, how can we say this is 1/4 and the spiritual world is 3/4? And the Krishna Samhita, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, says that in fact it's a matter of consciousness.
Yeah.
The material world is lamentation, something in lamentation, suffering and lamentation. And then the Brahmajyoti is the absence of lamentation.
Yeah.
The Vaikuntha world is knowledge, and Goloka Vrindavan is bliss. So you have the four things. So the material creation is 1/4.
So he gave it based on rasa.
Yes, then you
Yeah.
have Satchidananda.
So he based on rasa, he was saying that the material world is the quarter part of the manifestation of the universe, even though it's unlimited, because it has only 1/4 of the mood of lamentation and suffering. And then the Brahmajyoti is the absence of that lamentation and suffering. Then the Vaikuntha is the knowledge of the difference between the material and spiritual. And Goloka is the ecstasy of rasa, transcendental rasa in relationship. Therefore, the material world becomes 1/4 based on rasa. So, based on rasa tattva, he's giving this information. It's an interesting point. I don't remember it from Krishna Samhita. I'm glad you brought it up. It's
Well,
very nice.
that's jumped out at me because I always had that question. Boom, there it is. So
There it is.
decades later, you get the answer
Yes,
to the
yes.
question that you had.
Yeah, I remember there was a lot of people. Gurudev said that Kalki's not going to come in this Kali Yuga, and there was a big dispute about this. How Gurudev can say this? Blah blah blah. There was a big argument about it, and he kept pointing to that one scripture by Srila Rupa Goswami, in which there's some statement there, but a lot of people were not satisfied with that statement. And then recently I saw this statement by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakura. Ordinarily, at the end of the age of Kali, religious principles are established by Kalki incarnation. But this current one is the blessed Kali Yuga. Hence, Kalki is not required to incarnate in this age because Sri Chaitanya Deva is incarnated in this age of Kali Yuga. By his grace, all social ills will be removed. That is certain. Issue 1, Year 1, Sri Bhagavad Patrika. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So, when I saw that, I thought, why didn't we get this 20 years ago when this debate was going on?
Even currently, we had someone here, one of the Vaishnavas, forget who, in the last, number of years, who was saying that Kalki is going to come, and it's in the Bhagavatam, whatever, and
Yes.
so
And
some of the Vaishnavas still are following that too. So
I know, and Prabhupada has given so many lectures about Kalki coming, Kalki's coming, Kalki's coming. And so a lot of people felt that this was a direct, disobedience to Srila Prabhupada or a direct contradiction of Srila Prabhupada's teachings when Srila Narayan Maharaj said this. But here we see that Srila Sachidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur is saying it. Narasimha Sylvester posted. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur has answered every question and settled every debate forever. So this is the beauty of Bhaktivinoda Thakur's transcendental teachings.
There's also, Maharaj, one fact that I remember speaking with Umadidi, that once Bhaktivinoda Thakur was invited to come to heavenly planets to answer some question or questions, and he did. Do you know, maybe, have you heard what was the question they wanted to clear up?
Yeah, it's a long discussion that's given by Srila Bhakti Rakshak Sridhar Goswami. And the question is about in ninth chapter, 30th verse of Bhagavad Gita, where they talk about Sadhureva Samantavya. Apichet Sudaracharo. That what is the meaning of this? Who is sadhu? There's a discussion between Indra and Shiva and several others. And then who is sadhu? And Srila Sridhar Maharaj says that look up and they see Bhaktivinoda Thakura walking in the sky. And they said,
At the right time.
there's a real sadhu, let's ask him. And so then he goes into this whole dissertation about how a real sadhu never falls. And that the meaning of the next verse, Sadhureva Samantavya, that quickly he's reestablished in his position, is not meant for the person who fell, but meant for the person who accepts that the sadhu is never fallen. So he's quickly made righteous. It's a very long, intricate, interesting conversation, which needs to be read from the beginning in order to make sense to everybody.
And which book of Bhaktivinoda Maharaj made?
I don't think it's a book. I think it's just a commentary that he made, that they videotaped, a lecture of his. All right. Thank you very much. We're going to close out with a little kirtan.
Gaur Hari Bol Jai Gaur Hari Bol Hari Bol Jai Gaur Hari Bol Gaur Hari Bol Jai Gaur Hari Bol Gaur Hari Bol Jai Gaur Hari Bol Gaur Nityananda Bolo Gaur Hari Bol Gaur Nityananda Bol Gaur Hari Bol Jai Gaur Nityananda Bolo Gaur Hari Bol Gaur Nityananda Bol Gaur Hari Bol Gaur Sri Advaita Bolo 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 Gaur Hari Bol Gaur Gadadhara 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 Gaur Hari Bol Gaur Srivas 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 Gaur Hari Bol Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Bolo 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 Gaur Hari Bol Gaur Hari Bol Jaya Gaur Hari Bol Gaur Hari Bol Jaya Gaur Hari Bol Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Thus ends our program for today, the disappearance day of Srila Satchidananda Bhaktivinoda Thakur and Srila Gadadhara Pandit. Jai Hari Hari Bol.